And what's going on, Zen Friends? Welcome into a new edition of the Zen Frenz Podcast. I myself, Alex Gray, and dog, as you know, Yoshi from Zen Frenz, being joined by co-host Erica Nolan, dog mom of Sukiyaki Shiba on Instagram. And we're excited to introduce to you a new guest that we're going to have on the podcast today, fellow entrepreneur within the pet space, Lindsey Decker. Lindsey, so great to meet you today.
It's so great to meet you. Thanks for having me.
So a little bit of backstory here. This connection is coming from Erica within the pet space, and you all both live in Wisconsin in the Midwest. How did you all come to connect and meet each other?
We have a mutual friend, Rachel. So that was our first, way that we got in touch was just from friendship. But also we have this connection of being dog moms and loving dogs so much. And I really got to see Lindsay's heart in the work that she does, which she'll tell us more about. But it really drew me to her as a person and also just her awesome personality. So we just became friends, but also are connected through the dog world too.
Yes, our mutual friend Rachel and her wife have adopted multiple pit bulls from me over the years.
Wow.
Um, and so, when I first met them and then subsequently met Erica through them, I was like, these are my people. These are my people. They have the same zest for life and just the same outlook on like animal welfare and what it means to be a pet parent and um, the lengths that will go to make sure that,
Mhm.
our dogs are loved and well cared for and have like the best quality of life they can until the end. So
Yeah, we talk about that a lot on this podcast, that bond and that trust that you can form instantly with another pet owner, as if you already have something in common. As soon as you meet them, get to know about their pet, where they're from, what it's like raising their pet. You can share stories. Hopefully, the pets get along so they can have play dates when you get together, different things like that as well. But awesome to hear that you do rescue work within the pet space and that you get to meet your people, some really good people that are within the space as well too, both with business and also friendships as well too. Really awesome to hear that you guys were able to connect. How about the little guy that you got there? What is his name?
this is Piccolo. He is my hospice foster dog. Um, he came to me. So I guess I could preface this by saying that I help run a rescue that specializes in senior hospice, medically fragile dogs, dogs with special needs. So
Amazing.
we're taking dogs that often get overlooked and are usually the
Mm,
first euthanized, in shelter settings. So he came to me, and he's a 15-year-old Chihuahua, and
wow. Still going strong.
he's still
Yeah,
well.
look at his little tongue.
He's Echo. He doesn't have any teeth, so his little tongue hangs out. Um, but his after he came to me, it was obvious to me that his dementia was further progressed than I was sort of initially anticipating, and adopting him out, I think, would be too confusing for him. I feel like we're close enough to maybe the end where he'll need to go to college, as we say.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's our term, going to
yeah,
college.
going to
Yeah.
college, and so I thought it'll better serve him to just stay with me
Mhm.
until the end instead of making another change when the dementia is has progressed this far.
How long
Yeah,
have
I
you
was
been
going to
with?
say, Alex, that she personally takes the hardest cases. And
Wow.
the dogs that have, the most significant medical needs, she personally brings them into her home and makes sure they're getting the most amazing care. She works with an awesome vet who treats them and gives them all sorts of different treatments that help them with their various needs. So she's really just like a stellar person, a stellar individual. I will big you up, Lindsay. You've got the best heart ever.
And you're making me feel good about myself, Erica.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I'm inspired just hearing about that. A lot of people I can see would give up on a pet if a pet had special needs or within the senior stage. You're taking on a real hard task there in rehoming them and finding a better position for them. And like Erica, you were just mentioning those overlooked dogs. You never want to see that. You know, every pet deserves a home. Every pet deserves to be well looked after and well taken care of. So the fact that you're willing to step up and do something like that, I think that says a lot about you, Lindsey.
Oh, thank you. I honestly, fostering dogs, um, like it really fills me up. It pays. I always say it, Dogma puts money in my bank account, but the rescue pays here. And
Oh,
it, I will always feel that way. There's nothing I love more than either being able to foster and then find, a dog they're happily ever after with another family, or if the dog's going to stay with me until the end, like Piccolo, being able to like usher them through that last chapter of life, like whether that's days. I've had dogs that have only made it days, like days, weeks, months, maybe it's their last year, but it's real, like it's just a really special place to be in the dog's journey, I think. And um it definitely just suits me. I feel like it was a calling for sure.
Well, I mentioned this on a recent podcast, but Arnold Schwarzenegger has 6 rules of success. And one of the rules that he talks about is actually the last rule, where he says the most fulfillment you'll ever get in life is by giving back, by paying it forward. Maybe taking knowledge that you've learned over the course of your life and sharing that knowledge with someone else or helping them get to the place where you are currently. But I can tell that fulfillment that you're getting from giving back and taking on this rescue project doesn't get much better than that.
For sure. I love that. I didn't know that he said that, but I would say like my opinion of that aligns exactly. And I think
Hmm.
anyone working in the rescue space or anyone who's just making a dog's life better and who cares about their welfare would say that same thing, that
mm,
what they're getting out of life is being able to leave it better than it was
Hmm.
before,
mm.
and making as many animals happy as you can along the way.
Well, I mean, I would think a lot of people would feel like they couldn't take on the emotional burden of helping dogs in their final stages over and over and, having to deal with loss. But like you said, it's so fulfilling to give them that gift of being there for them during that time. Look at his face. I cannot get over
Can you handle
get over his face. I just
you
love him.
handle him?
He's
He's
like,
hilarious.
we're on the Zen Frenz podcast today. I'm
Yeah,
He's
loving
that
life.
he's
he's very
right
zen.
now. He's very fun right now. Don't be fooled. Like if he goes into gremlin mode, like when the dementia when he gets a little confused, then he'll try to eat me. But he has no teeth, so it really doesn't matter. He has a funny little gremlin mode too.
He's looking
Well,
happy as a clam today.
Yeah.
Yeah, gremlin mode, Alex. You're
Oh,
a
yeah.
Frenchie dad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yoshi's got it inside of him, but you got to pull it out of him. But it does exist deep down
Yes.
there. He's gotten into some wrestling matches with some bigger dogs, which usually brings it out of him. But there is a gargoyle that lives inside of Yoshi, and if you press the right button, can come out at any time. It lives inside of him for sure, deep down.
Well, this is a common theme with Chihuahuas, whether they have dementia or not. So
They are big dogs and little body. They're
yes,
hilarious.
Oh
yes.
yeah. He's that way too, right? Like a tough guy, like you're not tough, Yoshi. Like, are you really gonna bite, this person? But they kind of take that on, that Napoleon syndrome where they want to be
Yeah.
bigger than they are. They're short and stout, but they think they're big and strong. Kind of comes with the breed. Okay, so Lindsay, let's talk about some of the businesses that you're working on currently. You are the founder of Dogma, which
Mhm.
I've researched specializes within boarding, but also very unique, the hiking aspect, the
Yeah.
physical aspect, and the physical wellness that you're working on as well. And also speaking about the rescue work that you do as well too. So how did this start for you? How did you get involved in this? Were there circumstances going on in your life where it pushed you to want to start a business or work within the pet space? Have you always loved animals? How did this come about for you?
So the always loved animals part is an absolute yes. I grew up around dogs. My father owned a golf course my whole life. We had labs and retrievers and a sheepdog around, and those dogs would take turns chasing geese off the golf course. And my dad worked really long hours and was up early and out of the house and home late.
Did you grow up in Wisconsin?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yes and no. I'm from Lake Mills originally, which is about 20 miles east of Madison.
Okay.
Like a little commuter town. That's where the golf course is. My parents divorced when I was around 5 years old. And when my mom remarried, we moved to Ohio,
Okay.
about 20 miles outside of Dayton in a suburb called Beaver Creek. So I would split my time between, Ohio and Wisconsin. So
A true Midwest gal.
Yeah.
very much so. So I had dogs growing up. I was always the kid in the neighborhood that if there was a dog running loose, I'd be the one to grab it and check for tags, take it home, or take it back to my house, and have my mom help find the owners. So I feel like it's always been in me. I've always had a stronger connection with animals, dogs specifically, but animals in general. And I didn't start out with any preconceived notion that I would work with dogs for a living at all. I did corporate marketing after college, and in many different industries, none related to dogs at all. The business really started. I had a best friend, Danielle. She is still my best friend. And she was going through a really wicked divorce, but she traveled so much for work. And her dog basically was living with me during those times that she would travel.
That's a true friend right there.
Yeah.
And this wasn't there was like not an exchange of money or anything. She would just bring me back these like fabulous gifts from Chile and Italy and wherever it was she was traveling. And she knew that, corporate life was kind of sucking the soul out of me. And she said, like you could actually do this for a living. And I'm like, really? Like, you don't really think about it like that? And she's like, initially, she's the one who introduced me to the Rover app. This was many, many moons ago. And I said, oh, okay. Well, at this point, I already was a foster for the original rescue that I worked for. And I loved that. Like, that really filled me up. But again, like rescue work, like you're not going to get paid to do that, right? Like I can't leave my
You're volunteering the service.
Yeah, I can't I can't leave my corporate job and raise my child and get my bills paid. I'm just doing rescue. So anyway, she's like, yeah, well, you can sign up on this app and you can start pet sitting and get paid for it. And I thought, well, let's have a go at it. So I started doing.
Lindsey, can I just ask, when you were doing that, were you pet sitting? Was Rover set up where you would pet sit in your own house?
Yes.
Okay, so you weren't going to others' houses to do it.
Nope.
They were okay.
But we also haven't gotten the first Rover story either. How did you start the first Rover? She told you that this thing exists. You have experience working with rescues, but that first client, that's got to be a story in itself, right? How easy or how difficult is it for someone to get set up with a Rover?
So I filled out my Rover profile. They make it go live. I have pictures of myself with my own dog, with my foster dogs, with my daughter, with our foster dogs. And she was like 6 at the time. And I feel like people were attracted to that immediately. Like, oh yeah, there's a lot of experience here with animals. She works for a rescue. Like we would trust this person to watch our dog. And so I sort of set it up as, like, I started getting a flood of messages, probably 10
You got something going on here, right? You started to get some messages. We got some action now.
Immediately, like my inbox was full of requests, and I just said, okay, well, I want to do a meet and greet. I want to meet your dog and say they're what you say they are, and walk through getting to know them so they can see me, hear me, smell me. They're acquainted with me before the day I'm going to pick them up to come to my house. So it really started like that. And everything, my very first clients were a beautiful couple. Their names are Sandy and Linda. They're both ex-cops with the MPD here. They had 2 Springer Spaniels, and they lived really not far from where I lived. And so we got to know each other immediately. And I sat on the floor and hung out with the dogs, and we rolled around together, and they gave me lots of kisses. And I just, we started telling our life stories, and it instantly felt like, oh, I'm going to be an extension of this family. This is what's happening here. And from there, I realized that I could do it better than Rover. So I turned those clients into private clients and started building
There you
dog
go.
trust. Yeah. So there really is
your network is your net worth.
Yeah. I already had sort of an established relationship with folks in the greater Madison area because of my rescue work. So I was already a familiar face around animals. Everybody who I was adopting dogs out to, I was already telling them, hey, if you go on vacation, just call me. Your dog already knows my home. Your dog already knows my dogs. Like, this will be a great spot for them to stay comfy and cozy while you're traveling. And so my work in rescue honestly really fueled my ability to do this and gave me that foundation of trust with the community and the people who share their dogs with me.
Amazing. So what your original clients, what were their circumstances, the two police officers that they needed a boarding service from you or yeah, I will call it boarding.
Yeah, they both retired early, and they are avid travelers. They do a lot. I mean, they have one of those like tricked out vans, and they'll go drive across the country and take the dogs when they can. But if it's a trip where they can't, then their dogs live with me. And, over the years, like they're on like their third set of dogs now with me.
Because you've known them for so long.
Wow.
I've
Yeah.
known them for so long. Dogs have passed away.
Wow.
They've gotten new dogs. Dogs have passed away. They've gotten new dogs. So at this point, they have a dog that's one of their two springers is dog selective and really anxious. So now in our relationship, I send one of my staff dogmas to live in their home while they travel. So we also, offer that. But the idea being we're matchmaking the dog and the staff home so that the dog's experience is going to be the most like it is in their own home, so that they're happy and comfortable, and the pet parent can have a worry-free, stress-free vacation. That is
huge.
That's very unique.
Yeah. So if your dog sleeps in bed with you, your dog can sleep in bed with me. If your dog doesn't use a crate in your own home, it's certainly not going to use a crate in my home. You know what I mean? So we're really, really thoughtful in our screening process as we learn what each dog's needs are from each family. And then that's how we matchmake them with the proper staff member.
So I feel like with any entrepreneur, right, you recognize a white space opportunity here, or sometimes they say scratch your own itch, right? If something's a problem for you, it's probably a problem for someone else, and then you can improve that and offer a solution to that problem. So you recognize that with Rover, man, I could do better than this. Like, might as well take this into my own hands here. I could do it better. I can build my own client list, make sure they're well taken care of, make sure they have a nice place to stay at. What was that beginning stage process like for you for doing this officially? So you have the idea, you know that you can do it better, but what was that process like for you getting set up?
Well, the one thing that bothered me about Rover was that there wasn't a team involved. Like, what if something moves sideways on me? Right? Like, what if this dog is great day one and is not on day 3 or 4? What if I have a stroke? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, all these things, I'm always thinking like, okay, how do we make sure that the worst case scenario is still covered? So I thought, well, the only way you can do that is with the team that you really trust. Well, that doesn't exist with Rover. And I can't tell you how many 911 emails and calls we've gotten from people whose Rover sitters just canceled or left mid-stay, and all they're getting is like an electronic email saying, oh, your stay has ended. Like it's bananas.
You're just abandoned. There's no contingency plan.
It's impersonal.
Yes. So I sort of built the process for Dogma as it already existed with how I work with foster dogs and adoptive families, like what that whole get to know you stage looks like, the meet and greets, what the requirements are for this dog to be happy in your home. And maybe this isn't the right dog for you. I used that sort of mentality and that sort of like process flow in how I built Dogma and how I thought it would be appropriate. And then, you know, really I had the business started for 4 years and still had my corporate job. Like I was too scared to,
a side hustle.
Yeah.
Too scared to jump all the way in. What if this doesn't work? You know, there was that, you just kind of are scared. Also, like my parents at the time, like, although they're supportive, they really didn't get it. They didn't get like, how are you ever going to make living doing this? How are you going to put
That's all they understand, right?
Yeah.
If it makes dollars, it makes sense. If it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. You know?
Yes. They're like, how are you going to put Quinn through college? How are you going to buy a house? Like, you know, all of these things that then you start questioning yourself. You're right. This should probably just be a side hustle. So initially I started recruiting really all of the women that I trusted that work in rescue with me. I already know what kind of dog handlers they are. I already know what
they're building the team.
Yes, I already know what their compassion level is for animals, what their threshold is for what types of dogs they would work with, because my goal was to not have to say no to anyone, which is a terrible goal to have.
Right.
Because every entrepreneur is always a yes person, right? Like that's how you start to make
say yes, we'll figure it out later.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I thought I never want to say no to people who have tricky dogs, nuanced, like behaviorally nuanced dogs. I want to be able to help everyone so that they can travel without a worry. They don't have to take their dog to the kennel. Their dog will have personalized care and live as a member of the family in our staff homes, right? So I started recruiting all the girls in rescue to work for me and make some extra money on the side. And everybody's like, this is awesome. I wish I could just quit my job and only do this. And from there, it kind of snowballed. And by my 4th year in, I think it was obvious to my employer at the time that I clearly wasn't invested in that work. They kicked me to the curb. So I always say like, yeah, well, I got fired. And that's how I ended up making it my full-time livelihood. Everybody should probably get fired once. It's a very humbling experience, but it was almost like a huge weight was lifted off of me. Like, oh, thank God. Now I can go like really do this. They pushed me into the deep end, but in a really good way. So, and I
Did you find your corporate experience helped you with like the business side of things, with figuring out financing or marketing?
100%.
I can relate to a lot, but please.
Yeah, I know you can, Alex. Yeah, I was thinking that. Yeah.
100%. And also like, I know what my skill set is and I know what I have no clue about, right? So like, for instance, QuickBooks, no clue, right? So I have a wonderful, wonderful woman, Tia, who is a Dogma also, who is like a wizard with QuickBooks. So she handles all the books, you know, reconciling all of the invoices that go out, making sure all of the staff dogmas get paid. You got to find people and have them in like the right seat on the bus. You know what I mean? There was no way I was going to be able to do it all myself. So, you know, and that's a piece of the process when you're an entrepreneur, is like letting go of some of it, like
delegating.
Yes, it's your baby, and you don't want anybody screwing it up, and you want to be very careful because Dogma is basically my name, right? It's my reputation. I built it with my relationships in the community already, so I can't have anybody else messing that up or tarnishing that name. Like I'll take it very personally, right? I wanted to be very thoughtful about it. And so the leadership team that I have in place now, each has a very, very specific role, and they are very, very, very good at it. And I've just let go of those pieces so that I can also have a life, somewhat of a life. Otherwise, you know, you'd be working around the clock 365. And I kind of am anyway, but
I was going to
It
say you're
never
the
stops.
busiest person I
It's
know.
always something.
yeah, but in a way that like I feel very relieved that those tasks are not things that I have to handle anymore, and being able to like fully trust and invest in the people you're surrounding yourself with. So yeah, so we've been, doing this now since 2012, and 2016 was when it started to be full time, like no more corporate
Mm.
job.
And when did you start calling it Dogma? How did you come up with that name?
Oh,
I love how it works on a couple levels.
I know. That's funny because it just sort of came to me one day when I was thinking about it. I was like, geez, there's not even a name. It's just like, oh,
Lindsay's boarding service.
yeah,
Right,
Lindsay's going
right.
to be taking care of your dogs, blah, blah, blah. And that was one of those things that just came to me one day. I was like, oh, what if Dogma, but the M is capitalized. Like I'm the ma. I'm the dog mom, but it's ma, and it's a play on words. So that I wish I had a great story for how that came to be, but it was just one of those weird things that popped into my head once, and I thought, oh, Madison Dogma, like that's cool. That's cool.
It
So
is. I mean, it's MA is like makes me think of Madison. And then also it brings in the pet parent aspect that
yeah,
Mhm.
you're sending your dog to somebody's home who is a pet lover and a pet parent and a
yes,
dog ma
yeah,
already. So, it's just so much more personal than a kennel.
yes, absolutely. And that's the whole idea of the business is this is an alternative to kennel boarding where your dog lives as a member of the family. It's an alternative to kennel doggy daycare. We take your dog out on off leash adventure hiking with other dogs. So they're in nature, like exploring like dogs should, socializing, rolling in the mud, jumping in the river, and having that sort of, I mean, it's definitely a lifestyle experience that people are buying for their dogs. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, we're just kind of like, we got a little niche, we got a little thing going on, and I'm so happy for it. I'm really lucky. I'm
Um,
lucky that other people see the value in this service as much as I do. Sometimes you can believe in yourself and what you're selling, and everybody else is like, I don't need it. I don't need that product. You know what I mean? But
mhm.
Madison is so invested in their pets.
Mm.
We are so ridiculously dog friendly. I mean, I could name 50 places off the top of my head that you can bring your dogs if you're going out for coffee
That's
or
huge.
going out,
Yeah.
yeah, beer, breweries and wineries, and you're going out for trivia, you're doing whatever. I mean, all the festivals, like you can always have your dog around. Um, so I love that. And you can see that the families here, you can see their commitment to their dog's welfare by everything else they're doing, not just because they're hiring me or my team. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I'm looking into it now. It says dogma refers to a principle or set of principles laid down by an authority as incon let's see here, incontrovertibly true. It is most commonly used in religious, political, and scientific contexts to describe beliefs that adherents are expected to accept without doubt or reform. And it's got Greek origins to it as well too. So essentially an opinion, but a strong one as well too would be dogma. We talk about all the times the importance of having a clever pun name within the pet space is how a lot of businesses get led. I think you got a winner there. Well, how did that come to you? Were you just sitting around and like, or when did it blast in your head?
Um, I will tell you this. There was a movie called Dogma
Oh
with
yeah, Kevin Smith movie, I think.
with Matt Damon, like from
Yeah,
that's like in the 90s, I think, maybe, or maybe early 2000s. I would have to look back,
yeah.
but something about that popped in. I couldn't even tell you the premise
Mm.
of that movie anymore. But that name kind of stuck with me, and when it just kind of came to me one day, I had been sort of remembering that movie and thinking about that name, and I was like, oh yeah, that could be really cool. There's a meaning there, and like again the play on words, and I felt like all of it just meshed really well and represented me and my
Mhm.
me very well. So that's how it came to be.
So When you're talking about those beginning stages there, I've got a few takeaways. Number one is that doubt that I think that your family members, it's not like they're being negative, but there's a great quote out there. I'm watching an interview with Jay-Z, and I believe it was his uncle at the time was like, you're not going to do it, man. You're not going to be a rapper. Like, you can't make it. Like, and he's saying like I sold 1 million records. Like now what? Like he told me I couldn't sell 1 million records. Now I sold 1 million records. Like now what? And it's not that people are being negative, they're just projecting their fears on you.
Mm.
And just because they have fears or potential insecurities doesn't mean that you need to have the same. So if you listen to someone right away that said you can't do that, you may have never started it or you may have never done it in the first place. You just had that thing inside of you which said, no, I believe I can do this. I trust myself. You have to have practicality, especially with business, right? It's got to be able to generate revenue or else you won't be able to stay in business. But you also have to have that unwavering belief in what you're doing to tune out the noise and to tune out the doubt that's out there and to take rejection as a challenge and just believe in yourself to know that you've got what it takes to do something. Otherwise, if you always listen to everyone else, it's never going to be what it is now.
I completely agree with that. And, when I go back to my dad, who's also no longer with us, he passed away in 2020,
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
but
so sorry.
he was my dude, you know what I mean? So like I value his opinion
Hmm.
um in really big ways. And he was also an entrepreneur, right? Like that golf course was owned by my grandfather. He passed away before I was born. My father inherited it, ran it my whole life. His work ethic was insane, which is where I get that. And I wanted him to get behind this, but I also, he's thinking, well, you're not using your college degree. And, but
Mm.
also in
Which
this,
you invested in, you
right,
Right.
invested your time
right.
and money in that. Yeah.
But in the same breath, like he's also from that generation where I should probably, am I going to marry a good man to take care of me?
Yeah, right, right.
Like, let me tell you what I don't need. I'll take care
The
of myself.
headache.
You got Piccolo.
Yeah, exactly. He's
Yeah.
the man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but he got a chance to see before he passed how big the business had gotten, right?
Oh,
Like, hey, dad, they wrote me up in online Forbes.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Mm.
I
I've
showed
been,
Alex the article. I was
Mhm.
yeah,
looking you up and I saw it. That's amazing.
yeah, I've been in Midwest Living magazine and Madison magazines, Brava magazines. Like, it's a,
Now what?
it's a good feel,
Right?
you
Now,
Now
know?
yeah,
what?
the
Is
Jay-Z.
that
Now what?
enough? Now
Now
what?
what?
You
Yeah. So
know?
before he passed, like,
Mm,
he believed in me. Do you know what I
Good.
mean?
Good.
Thought like, oh, honey, I don't know why I didn't see that this was a thing. I just
Hmm.
thought my kid's going to be a dog walker. How is she going to do
Hmm.
this?
right, right.
So also like this sort of a lifestyle, like hiking dogs and walking dogs, hiking dogs, and caring for dogs. It's very a coastal lifestyle. Like you'll see a lot more of this on the West Coast and the East Coast than you
Hmm.
would in the Midwest.
Florida. Yeah.
And I think people just um, didn't know what they didn't know. If they've
Hmm.
never heard of it, if they don't understand it, it's they need to see a lot more than someone else would in order to get behind it, believe in it, and support it.
The end of the clip, he says, "You got to believe you're great before anyone else does." Like he's
Absolutely.
just, you got to believe you're great. You got to believe in yourself before anyone else does. I also get the sense of when you're talking about recruiting those different team members, like it's kind of like in the movies where you've got the idea and then the person's at their shit job and you show up there like you want a better one and they're like they quit on the spot and they come with you and then the music like starts to play and it starts to build up and you get this team
Jerry
member from
Maguire.
there and that team member from there and then
Jerry
bang,
Maguire,
here we
yeah.
go. Yeah.
Yeah, Jerry
Show
Maguire.
me the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I think of that. That's funny that you said that because Jerry Maguire is like, who's coming with me?
Yeah,
Right.
Who's
yeah.
coming with me?
Yeah.
He gets fired. He's like, come on, it's going to be way better. Who's coming with me? And I feel like it was. it was kind of a soft lead in for people. They didn't have to leave anything to do this.
Hmm.
They had most of the team all have jobs. They have their normal W-2 jobs. Everybody
Hmm.
working for me is a contractor. So I 1099 them at the end of the year. Um, it wasn't you have to quit what you're doing in order to be a
Hmm.
member of this team. So I think that helped, and they could see I can do this as much or as little as I want. Like, if my goal is to get rid of my medical debt or buy a new car or fund my kids' college or just pay for the plane tickets for my next vacation, right? Whatever your goal is financially, you can just say, okay, well, I'll take care of as many dogs as that takes throughout the course of a month or two or whatever to meet my goal, and see what that feels like. You can say yes when you want to do it. You can say no when you don't. I don't make anyone do anything, right? We offer
Hmm.
them the gigs. We
Hmm.
They get to see profiles on the dogs, understand what their routine looks like, what other types of dogs they've been around in life, if they've been around cats and other furry critters, and they make that decision based on the information we present them. So it was a very soft way to lead people into the business. Those are my coworkers. Like,
Amazing. And I'm sure the thing that connects all of you is that passion that you have for pets, the willingness to want to take on a dog into your house, spend time with them, have open arms, and receive all these. And I'm sure you get a mixed bag. There's some that are a breeze, but there's others that it's hard work when you're looking after someone else's pet.
yeah, don't I don't mind a tricky dog. Behaviorally nuanced dogs are kind of my jam. Dogs that are medically fragile are my jam. Um, I just have to be very thoughtful in like the mix of dogs that will be in the house during the time that I've agreed to take that dog. So, uh, and that's all part of like the puzzle pieces, like the doggy Tetris that we play.
Hmm.
Figure out what's the right fit in every home, because like the top priority is a safe and manageable dynamic, and to make sure everything flows smoothly and the dogs are all enjoying themselves. So, um,
Piccolo, can you speak to that?
Yeah. He's like, I co-sign. It's great over here.
yeah, I am enjoying
I
myself.
never looked back since.
Yeah,
I never look back.
he really hasn't. He really hasn't. Oh,
So I can relate to you, Lindsay. I'll tell a quick story here. I've always wanted to work in sports radio. I've been watching sports my whole life. I've been turning on ESPN since I was a kid, Sports Center, First Take, all the different shows. So I went to San Diego State. I was a business and communication major. One of the best things I could have done was getting a marketing internship at VaynerMedia. I approached an entrepreneur on the spot my junior year and actually ended up landing an internship with communication skills. That exposed me to the business world. It exposed me to social media being a business, XYZ. I utilized that experience where I actually met an employee from ESPN who had a podcast called Hustle Like Gary V. This guy's name was Ivan Kwan, and I ended up going up my senior year to shadow him. So I got to shadow him for the day in
oh,
ESPN studios. It was amazing. I was behind the green screen room. It was a really cool experience. And then I stayed persistent communicating with him. What would it be like to get a job with ESPN out of college? I'm applying on Disney Career Services, doing the whole thing. Next thing I know, I have the head of marketing for the radio station up in LA request to interview me. So I got on the first train that I could get on from San Diego to go up to LA. I ended up doing the interview, stayed persistent, and I actually landed my first promotions assistant job out of college with ESPN. So I thought my whole life was figured out at
yeah,
that stage. They gave me exactly, what I was looking for work-wise. I was up at 3:30 in the morning in Santa Monica. I was getting on a 5 a.m. train, and we were starting a live radio station in downtown LA at 6 in the morning with millions of listeners and millions of viewers. I was setting up the camera. I was filming segments of the radio host. I was doing social media posting for their Twitter and their Instagram. And I was also doing a lot of graphic design as well too. The job really required a lot of graphic design. So I held the job and I stayed persistent for about 3 to 4 months. And one day I just got a text from my boss, who I really highly looked up to. He was like a mentor for me, and he was really a part of my growth process. And it just said, come into my office. And it's okay, I
Oh
come to the
God.
office and I sit down. And it was no sugarcoating it. He was just like, so we're going to let you go. And here are the next steps. And I was so taken off by it. It was almost like, you
Oh,
get shot. Like I was like, wow, like this is such a shock to my system. I didn't see it coming. My whole belief, my whole mindset was in this job that I was doing. It meant so much to me. And actually, when you work for a corporate company like that, they have a security guard that escorts you out of the building.
Wow.
And
oh,
so it was all these people that I knew in the workspace where I'm like, all right, well, can I at least like go say bye to some of these people that I've been working with for the last 3 to 4 months? And it all happened real quick. So I was like shocked driving on the way home there because I'm out here in LA. I got this job out of college. My dad lives there, so I've got some sense of familiarity. But what am I going to do next? Like what's the next step here if I thought this was the career path that I wanted, but I'm actually not welcome in that career path right now. I got to figure this out. So one thing I knew was all the habits that I had from working with ESPN, getting up in the morning, getting my laptop, putting it in my backpack, knowing what it's like to work for a day and like work on a project or build something or post content or whatever it is that you're building. I took all of those same principles into going and hanging out at the UCLA Accelerator, and I had some fellow friends that were entrepreneurs that were crushing it and selling products on Amazon. One of my buddies was selling a protein pancake mix. His name was Marcel, and it was called Foros Nutrition. And he's like, man, I'm crushing it, Alex, on Amazon. I'm selling all these products. Like, you should look into this. So that's where I began the e-commerce research process of thinking about, all right, what's a product that we can launch here in the e-commerce space in Amazon? And that's when I came across hemp oil for dogs and calming products for dogs. I saw a high demand with low competition. And I've always had pets my entire life, but I never understood the magnitude of the pet industry before conducting this market research. So that chip that I got on my shoulder from getting let go of that job is really what inspired that initial grind that I had for Zen Frenz. And as soon as, we end up going through the whole process of launching the company, I would say what I'm most proud of looking back on it now is going door to door. So I would go door to door in Los Angeles to groomers, boarding facilities, pet stores, pitch them the product on the spot, open wholesale accounts, get them the brochures. And then after Los Angeles, I was like, wait, I can do this in San Francisco. I can do this in Vegas. I can do this in Phoenix. And even one summer, my mom was like, she's a fellow entrepreneur as well in the apparel industry. And she's got a million stories about taking rejection as a challenge. But she
Mm.
says, you're going to go stay with my friend Margie in Atlanta this summer. I want you to start there. I want you to go door to door in Atlanta. After you finish Atlanta, I want you to drive up to Columbia, South Carolina. Then I want you to go to Charlotte, North Carolina. Then I want you to go to Richmond, Virginia. Then I want you to work your way up to DC. Then I want you to work your way up to Philly. I want you to work your way up to New York. And I want you to work up your way to Boston. And I did it. It was the summer of
Wow.
2019, and I went door to door the whole way. But it was that moment of like, I wasn't going to let getting fired define my career. I was
mhm.
going to use that fuel and channel that energy elsewhere. And a lot of what you see, with Zen Friends up into the stage came from that moment. And I have no idea what my boss is doing. I have no idea what's going on inside of that walls. I know people have left the company, come, whatever. But it was a turning point where it's like, are you going to fold? Are you going to quit? Are you going to let this bring you down? Or can you use this as fuel and channel this into another direction? And I'm still working on Zen Friends to this day, and wouldn't have found myself within the pet space if that didn't happen. So I really relate to you in hearing about that. And like you're mentioning, those jobs can be soul sucking. You're a cog in the wheel. You're
Mhm.
not, they could do with or they can do without you. They grind you out, they squeeze you out, but you're not going to get that same fulfillment of really creating something from scratch and working just as hard on it, if not probably harder, but you're doing it and you're coming at it from a place of passion where it's going to get you through those tough days and it means a lot to you. And that fulfillment that you get is it grows bigger than being on an hourly clock or building someone else's empire.
Absolutely. And you always hear people say that if you're sort of like living your passion and you're working and doing something you're passionate about, that it won't feel like work. And it really is true. I mean, yeah, some days it feels a lot more like work than others, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm working 4 times as many hours as I was in a corporate job, and but
You don't realize it.
I don't realize that. I'm not clocking in for somebody else.
Hmm.
I'm not
Mm.
It's
I'm
like a
not
cage. I'm
right,
checking in the cage. Tiger's out of the cage. Got to go back in the cage.
right. I get to just do something that I love day in and day out, and that's also constantly evolving, and I it's something I can also feel really good about. So like the mix of Dogma along with the rescue, you know what I mean? Like both pieces of it. So um yeah, I think when you found something, if you can really work within this, bubble of something that fills you up, it's so much more rewarding.
And a big credit too, when I was in Los Angeles, there's the B2B wholesale aspect of going around and meeting retailers. But I also have to give a lot of credit to the Melrose Trading Post, which is in West Hollywood, and also Artisan Fleas, which is in Venice Beach. This is a whole nother aspect of the business where I get to set up a 10 by 10 booth on the weekends.
Mhm.
And I've got thousands of people walking by, some that are tourists visiting Los Angeles, others that are local. But I would say pretty much since I started at the beginning of 2021, I've never looked back. Every weekend I've had is consumed with setting up a booth on a Saturday and a Sunday and building the business. And I've been doing it for the last 6 years and I don't think twice about it. But I got to credit these local markets as well to giving like a purpose to live and giving something to work towards. I have so much fun setting up the booth and it's work, but at the same time, too, I'm enjoying what I'm doing, enjoying engaging with clients and seeing how they respond to the product. And inadvertently, it ends up building the business because they then go purchase the product, go back to where they are. Let's say they live in Ohio and now they've got the website. So now they're ordering from the website, and these local clients are now becoming recurring clients for us as well, too. Always have done it, haven't think twice about it. But yeah, those local markets, I'm sure you all have great ones in Madison, Wisconsin as well too. But that's been a big staple for us over the years.
We do that same thing. We're not selling like a physical product,
Hmm.
right? Like I usually Dogma will share like a vendor booth with the rescue.
Hmm.
So we'll have adoptable dogs there that people
Hmm.
can meet and we can talk about. And then um, as well, I get to talk about like the services we offer because
Right.
coming to those events have their own dogs or
Right.
they're looking to adopt a dog. So, hey, here's a service you're going to need. If you have a
Mhm.
dog or if you're going to get a dog, like you're going to need to think about what are you going to do when you're traveling for work or for pleasure, right? Or someone in your family is sick and you need to be out of the house immediately. Like we have an on demand service for, like when someone goes into labor and needs to,
Hmm.
if it's 3 o'clock in the morning, they can message us. We'll be over to pick up their dog. So I feel like those are the places where you get in front of people and they can see
Yeah.
how excited you are to talk about what you're doing and,
Hmm.
you know, get down on the ground with their dogs and show like,
Hmm.
hey, here's how I connect.
Mhm.
Here's why you want to choose us. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I think it's always obvious when people meet us. They're like, oh my gosh, this
Right.
team they love dogs. They just love this lifestyle.
And
So
you can't feel that energy from an online listing, but when
right.
you're in person, you can really feel that passion and get to know and build that trust that you can't replicate online.
Yes, 100%. And I think also, I love those smaller events. I love like the festivals and the fundraisers. And, there's events that we call like
Hmm.
Pints for Pups, where we're at the brewery and,
Hmm.
you know, it's a low ask. So we're just asking people to come and have drinks because it helps
Right.
fund there's a kickback to the rescue for that from the bar. And they get to just come and hang out with dogs and talk about dogs and bring their own dogs and,
Hmm.
have a beer with us. And I especially love events like that. Like those are, I think it's so approachable for people
Hmm.
when they're not being asked to do anything. Like just come and be so
Hmm.
hang out and get to know us.
Yeah, I think especially too, if you're in the beginning stages of having your business, capital is everything. You've got limited resources. But that's one of my biggest recommendations is just getting out there, get your booth materials that you need and hands-on promote it. There's a huge value in shaking hands, face-to-face connections that you can be having. And if you put yourself in the environment of other businesses that are out there too, people come knowing that they want to meet local vendors, they want to see local products, connect with people, and it goes hand in hand. The clients working around are looking for the same camaraderie that the business owner's looking for behind the
Hmm.
booth.
Absolutely.
And if you're new to a city, I recommend going to local markets as well too, because you're going to make friends either walking around the market or just meeting those store owners behind the booths because they're looking to be social and they're looking to talk about their product and they've got a story to tell and they're giving up their Saturday to be out there, their Sunday to be out there too. So it's mutually beneficial. It's a great way to get started. It's a great way to build your business hands-on, kind of from those grassroots stages to where, yeah, you're not going to be able to compete with those corporate companies out there, but at that small business independent level, there's definitely a game to be played there.
I love that. I love your story. You can tell how excited you are about it too.
Well, yeah, I mean, just looking back on it, when you were talking about, and we appreciate you being vulnerable and talking about getting fired, that's not something I've ever mentioned myself
I've never
on the
heard the
Zen Frenz
story.
podcast or told the
Mm-mm.
story. But hey, if you're going to mention it, there's layers beneath myself as well too, where you're going to unlock that, and that was a huge driving force for a lot of the stuff I've done as well.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think, so many people would be so down on themselves when that happens
Hmm.
because, it is shocking. And then also it's so freeing. And I think you obviously saw that as well after you got over your
At the
addiction.
time, I did not though. At the
How
time,
long did it take you to get over?
oh. It took a long time, kind of like a breakup, like you're
Mm.
going through that shock phase and you really need to work through it and keep yourself busy and keep yourself occupied so you don't wrap your whole life into that one thing you had going on for you. Oh, I failed. Now, the end. No, it's
Mhm.
not the end. You're just writing your story and you're just in the beginning stage. And I think a lot of people, especially when you're younger, you look at the TV and all you see is a finished product. You see people who are in their final stages and you put them on a pedestal like they did everything perfectly. Well, you get to know a little bit more about their story and there's firings and there's rejections and there's obstacles and there's challenges where they weren't wanted and they went through some shit and they got their backs turned on to them. And all of that kind of fuels and builds up that strength and that armor that you end up building, especially when it comes to entering the business world. Because again, the business world sounds fun and it sounds like a great hobby, but business is war at the end of the day, too. Everyone's trying to kill each other, and you have to have thick
It's
skin in order to be in that. Yeah, it's ruthless,
you
no
have
matter where you are.
If you're going to be an entrepreneur, you have to have a thick skin too. I used to, and you might feel the same way, but like when I said, oh, I didn't want to say no to anyone. And it didn't matter if it was at the expense of my own like mental health and exhaustion, like complete exhaustion. I was like, well, I can't say no to that because that's going to be a new client, and
Hmm.
at some point I had to start saying like, I need to be strong enough to like set some boundaries for myself,
Right.
for the business. Maybe we're not for everyone and that's okay. Like maybe they're not for us and we're
That's
not
what
for them.
Krista said, Erica. You remember
Yeah.
she was talking about the screening? Like, we're not
Yes.
for
Yeah.
everyone, and we
We're
know
not for
that that's
everyone.
part of our business model.
But I wanted to be for everyone in the beginning, right? I
Hmm.
wanted to be everything for everyone. And it took me a while to work through that piece of the process for the business. And also, like, I think also getting fired really helped me with I've had very few, but I had my very first bad review.
Mm,
I've only had one.
love those.
I've only had one scathing review in all of this time. I've
Right.
had a couple that
It's
were like,
probably the only one you think about too. And all the
Oh,
50
right.
ones that go right, they just
The
breeze right
negative
over your
sticks with
head.
you
Yeah.
in a special way. Yeah.
all the time, all the time. I was like, oh, hell no. I
Yeah.
can't believe they did that. It took it so, and it wasn't my client.
Right.
It was a
You take
client
it personal though.
of one of my staff members, but I
Yeah,
totally took
it's
it
a
personal.
reflection on you. Yeah.
How dare they? How dare they? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And so getting over that too. Like nobody's going to have a perfect track
You
record.
can't.
That's
It's
not
impossible.
that's
Yeah.
not that's not even realistic. And it took so long for it to happen though that I just thought, yeah, how can anybody like not ever like us all the time?
Right. Right.
And, so that always that kept me humble, and it reminds me to always to try to always be operating at this level, right? Like
Hmm.
it needs to be elevated. We don't want to misstep. We need to really be thoughtful about what we're doing because we are caring for the companion animals, like the family members of other people. And yeah, we can't let things slide, you know. And if something happens in a mediocre way because everybody's human and had a bad day or something,
Mm.
like then you realize, oh, they'll go put that bad day on Google.
Right.
Oh, God. Right.
But
Inevitably.
yeah, but yeah, there's a lot of it's ruthless out there, and it can be a kick in the pants
Hmm.
when you get, you know, some negative feedback sometimes. So
Dogma sounds like karma to me, like very similar words, but the karma, the concept of what goes around comes around. Your clients can see that. They see the special attention, the care, the fact that you're going above and beyond that a lot of their other type businesses won't. Well, it's not my job. You know, I'm clocking in, I'm
Mm.
clocking out. I don't care, you know, what happens at the end of the day. But that what you're going through, those tough obstacles that you're climbing to make sure your clients are having a good experience that comes back to you in the future. It comes back around in the future where they come back. You're mentioning those first two clients that you had. You're still working with them to this day, and you've done
oh,
three generations of
we
dogs.
brought
So that first
uh,
experience that they had with you, that first impression that you made, that comes back to you down the line. So what you got to put out into the universe what you're looking to get back, and you got to lead with the right foot.
I agree, and I think and it sounds like you have done this very well yourself, but like just the relationship building is so
Hmm.
important. I feel
Especially
like
at the independent level. That's what you
absolutely,
got.
Mm.
Every
absolutely.
client's an important client. It's not
Yeah,
just another number.
yes, and you just have to care about their story, their family, their animal, and you have to take that and you have to just care about it. You can't do this sort of work and have anything be sort of like surface level. You have to get deeper. You have to get deeper into the relationships.
So let's talk 2016. You were still doing this as a side hustle, but there kind of got to that moment there where you're deciding to take on Dogma full time. What was that like for you? Where were you at to where you knew that you were ready to commit? And what did that commitment look like? What services were you offering in full for Dogma and your clients?
So at that point in time, we were offering um, boarding in staff homes,
Okay.
boarding in the client homes, um, drop-in care, uh, either basic or extended, like longer periods of time if somebody needed like their dog walked or even needed like someone to stop in and
Hmm.
feed
Like
their cat.
like a wag.
Yeah, feed their cat and
Mm.
give them insulin. Like all of
Hmm.
those things were offered, like kind of like pet taxi. Are you unable to get your dog to the grooming appointment? We'll do that for you, or back and forth to a vetting appointment or something like that. Um, all for established clients only. Like you couldn't
Mm.
just call us today and say, I need someone to go walk my dog.
Mm.
If we haven't screened you
Right,
out,
right, right.
understand your dog's needs, I'm never sending anyone in cold to a
Hmm.
house where we haven't met the dog yet. So those were the services we were offering. And after that, after I got fired, that's when the buildup of, instead of just dog walking, the hiking kind of got brought into play, which is called sniff
Yeah,
art.
I'm fascinated by that, especially because the wellness. We're an all natural pet wellness company, but I'm a former athlete. Wellness has been a huge part of my lifestyle. But I think hiking, that's genius for pets. Especially my mom has a German Shepherd now. That dog needs so much exercise. It's not even. Yoshi is asleep on the couch. He went to the dog park today. My job's done. No, the German needs to go on a hike every day.
Yes, yes. So it's, dogs of all ages and sizes that really thrive being out in nature with other dogs. So this is a program for dogs that are very well socialized and have excellent off-leash recall. But we take all ages. I mean, we have seniors in that program. We have, dogs that are 9 months old in that program. Each hiking group is a mix of, ages and sizes, and genders and, activity levels. So there's a little something for everyone, but we want them to be able to just be in their natural environment, explore without, having a leash, and for us as humans saying, here's where you're allowed to go and where you're not allowed to go, right? Like, they get to zip around, they get to, go grab sticks and run and wrestle and play. And like I said, there's a creek that flows through it. They can swim, they can splash, and we can just take breaks and roll around in the grass. I mean,
Get muddy.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm thinking of B.
I always tell people, I was like, we're in nature. Like, your dog is not coming home clean. Like, your dog is out having fun. They're going to be a little dirty. Leave the dog towels by the door so they could get brushed on, like get their underbellies brushed and their feet cleaned up a little bit before they come inside. But the people who want their dogs to experience this sort of lifestyle program are totally fine with that too. So
not a lot of mountains in Wisconsin, right? We talking like, we go on. I know there's lakes in Wisconsin, but there's probably some good hikes around.
Yeah, this is so we have an established property that we utilize. It's a 280 acre farm with some protected drumlin ridge, like the Ice Age Trail areas sort of built into that. So there's trails that go through huge pine trees and through actual land that used to be farmed, like soy fields and stuff, and along the creek through the woods. There's like a little area, I don't really want to call it a marsh, but there's an area with a lot of trees that there's like, kind of call it the pond. Where they
I can already smell it now.
Yeah. Oh, you can. I can't.
Yeah. I grew up in Long Island, New York. Plenty of marshes, plenty of water. Ugh.
Yeah, they love it though. They love it.
Squish, squish.
So, so we rent that property Monday through Friday, and utilize it for this reason. It's not getting utilized otherwise. It's just a whole lot of land that a couple of folks here in Madison own, and they're also in the pet space, which is how the relationship started. On the very, very, very back part of this property, they own a private dog park, which is a fully fenced in 3 acres. So you can rent that out if you have a dog that's reactive to other dogs and can't go to a regular dog park or whatever. So when we were transitioning, this is like my 5th farm over the years. Like, we'll move properties and keep things interesting for the dogs, or perhaps like one of the properties we were using, the folks moved to Florida and sold it, but they sold it to Dane County. Like I could never have afforded that. To buy it. The property is really expensive here per acre, but renting it has always been easy enough. And so then you just kind of like, oh, okay, well, let's go find another spot for the dogs to hike. And it just needs to be interesting landscape, a mix of prairie and woods, a fresh water source. So the dogs can, I don't want to have to hike with a bunch of water if I don't have to for that many dogs. But yeah, it's been kind of fun and ever changing. We're always kind of we're always the dogs
innovating.
keep us on our toes. Yeah. There's something new every day. But yeah, we've been enjoying this property now for about a year and a half.
And when
Amazing.
you started it, did you always go, as far as I know, you have a van that you go and pick up. It's kind of cool. It's like going to school or something, or
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Well, I'm thinking
they,
about your marketing background, but I'm thinking about a Dogma van or, something that looks like that. Oh, what's up?
yeah,
Everyone come on, get in. Don't
yeah.
be
No,
I
late.
picture the van
totally.
from Dumb and Dumber,
Yeah,
when he
and
had the mutt washing thing
Oh
where
my
it looks like a dog.
van from Dumb and Dumber, and there one of the vans. So we have two vans for the business because we run an east route and a west route. So there's two
Okay.
that go out every day. Um, but one of the vans that we have, I bought from the rescue that I help run when we were no longer utilizing it for transports to get dogs from the south. We didn't need two vans anymore, and so I'm the VP of that rescue, and I asked the president of the rescue, like, what do you think? Could I buy that? We could utilize that as one of our hiking vans. And we need an upgrade anyway. So it has a full dog wrap on it.
There you
Like,
go.
Oh, it does. I haven't seen
yeah,
that yet.
yeah.
Oh, cool.
The rescue van. So like
Hmm.
there's just dog heads all over it. It's one of those like big Ram ProMaster vans.
There you
So
go.
yeah, so if you open the sliding door, there's just a bunch of, dog beds and blankies and lots of dogs snuggled up in there.
They are so happy when haven't seen that van, but the other van, when you open the door, that dogs are just having a blast. They get picked up and it's like the hiking group, does it stay kind of the same? Like they become friends. They're like, "Oh, it's my friend,
Right.
Yeah,
Daisy. Hey,
yes,
We're at
Yeah.
Daisy's house picking her up or
yeah.
dropping her off."
Not like drop-in daycare. Like when you commit to being part of the program, like hopefully you're committing to the life of the dog if you're joining the program, right? Until they like age out or
Yeah.
their legs don't work anymore. But you have to hike a minimum of 3 times every week. So we set that schedule. Once your dog's been onboarded and understands the program and what's expected of them and gets, an established rapport and relationship with the other dogs and the hiking guardian that's on the trails with them, etc., then we can like fluctuate the days a little bit. Do you know what I
Mm.
mean? Like
Yeah.
they can add days or flip-flop days if their work schedule changes, but we always start out with a pretty strict schedule so that they can understand what's
The
getting
routine
how
and
the program
Right.
works, how the
yeah.
program my words won't come out. So yeah, they get picked up at their house every day. So the dogs know it. Like when you're dropping them back off at the end of the day, you open the door. Betsy knows it's Betsy's house. Nobody else is
Mhm.
trying to jump out of the van. Betsy hops out. Betsy
Right.
goes to her
That
front
is
door.
so
So we'll see you
cute.
We open the
tomorrow.
door. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Betsy's home. See you later.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is kind of like a dog.
adorable.
It's kind
Yeah.
of like a dog bus. I wish I had a real bus though, because I've seen plenty of
That
other
that viral
people.
video with the dog bus, yeah, where they each have a seat and a buddy they sit next to. It's really cute.
I would love that. I would love to
Yeah.
have a little bus that we can utilize too. I think just that would be really fun and funny. And I see other people that do what I do that have a bus.
Future goals for Dogma is
Future
the
goals.
Dogma bus.
Get an
Oh
old bus.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go. All right. Well, now we got to speak it into existence now that you put it out there, Erica.
We're manifesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
So
manifesting.
okay, so 2016, the team grows and also the pack has grown too up until this stage, the dogs that you're having. What has the scaling process been like for you since fully committing in 2016 to doing Dogma full time? We're now sitting here in 2026. It's been 10 years since then. They say it takes 10 years to be a professional at something, right? If you go at it for 10 years, you start to really get a hone of the craft that you're working on. So how have you observed the scaling and the growth of your business since deciding to commit back in 2016?
You know, I didn't have a preconceived notion about how fast it should grow. Um,
You kind of take it one day at a time,
you,
which is the best way to do something.
yes, I mean,
If
I
you look
had
too far into the
no,
future, you can get anxious. If you look too far into
yeah,
the past, you can get depressed. You got to stay present in the
yeah,
moment.
I literally had no idea.
You got to have a plan, but you got to stay in the moment too, or else you can get off course.
So we realized pretty quickly how much we were going to need to grow the team in order to meet the demand in
Mm.
Madison, around Madison. And so it continued to be finding more people that work in rescue that want to do
Mhm.
this. Because again, those are the people I trust the most. And then we would accept people that were referred by
Mm.
people who already worked in the business, because I was
You're
like,
building a tree.
yep, if you're going to put your name behind that person,
Mhm.
I'll trust them too. And then we go through the whole onboarding process with the new team member to talk about the flow and how it works and what's expected of them, et cetera. But I mean, from me just having, I mean, I think I probably had between 400 and 500 clients of just my own, right?
Wow.
And now we service, I think,
How is that possible? How are you servicing 400 to 500 clients on your
well,
own?
because
That's insane.
not everybody's traveling at the same time, right? Like some people have work travel, some people like vacation then or whatever. Like, it, so what I realized was like, oh God, there's no way I'm going to be able to keep up with this,
Mhm.
Mm.
especially because like everybody has a finite amount of space in their home, and what are my limitations in terms of how many dogs can I care for at one time smoothly, safely,
Mhm.
etc.
Yeah,
Right?
the right way. You want to give them a quality experience.
Yes, yes. So I can house a lot of dogs here. Like I have a huge house. I have a fully fenced half acre. We have the 280-acre farm that we can
Mhm.
utilize. So I mean, my space accommodates more dogs than some of my other staff members might. But it was obvious that there were so many people like that. This was just blowing up. People were like, "Great! I don't have to send
Mm.
my dog to the kennel anymore. This is what we want them to do." And now I mean, we're servicing well over 12,000 dogs in Madison. And it just keeps growing.
Wow.
Yeah,
It just
you're
keeps growing.
humble, Lindsay. We had to get an hour into the podcast to hear about the threshold that you're
Yeah.
working on here.
I know. I know.
That's some big
Um,
numbers we're talking.
That's
it,
so exciting.
it's crazy and it's awesome. And the thing is, like, we're still growing. Like, at least 3 times a year, we have another onboarding. We have an onboarding meeting where anyone new who's been waiting to join the team or to at least learn more to see if they want to join the team. Um, we have about 3 times a year we bring new people on board. So yeah, so it just keeps getting bigger. We'll keep allowing people
Where
in.
where do most of your inquiries come in? Because when I think Rover, I think I'm going on an app or like I'm doing like a search process like that. Are they mostly do you have an Instagram? Do you have socials that you're working on? Do you have a website? Do you get a phone call? Like where are most of your inquiries coming in?
Everything will come through the website. So I mean, people can find us on social media is
Hmm.
pretty big for us in terms of how they find us, but then we just push them to the website and we have are you a new client or a returning client,
Hmm.
and then they hit the button, request the care dates.
Hmm.
If they're a new client, then I have 2 members of my leadership team who do all of the phone screenings. So they'll
Mm.
call and they do the phone interview and learn about the dog, build the profile. We have like custom software that was built for Dogma. They put all of that in there, and that's how we determine what team member we're going to assign um, for that family. So that's like kind of how the process flow works. It's very much coming through the website, but our growth happened word of mouth. Like it's all word of mouth. Besides me paying for a website and having social media,
Right.
we don't spend any money on any marketing material.
Wow. And
Um,
that's that value too of word of mouth, right? You
right,
have clients that probably just refer the other clients, they refer
right.
and you don't know it at the time because you're just thinking it's one client, but it's that exponential growth, like the butterfly effect. You never know what it can grow into when one person becomes 2 people, they become 4 people, they become 8 people, they become 16 people. It just goes, goes, goes.
And I
I
think
mean, I can speak from experience as a dog parent, having we're at the dog park, we're all talking, and someone's like, "Oh, I had the worst experience on vacation. I had to come home early because my dog wasn't doing well at the kennel, or at the
Hmm.
our family friend said she'd watch him and then she couldn't, or whatever story." And you're like, "Hey, I know a solution to that for next time." And it could be like, or oh, hey, I really like that light up collar you have. Where did you get that? There's a
Hmm.
lot of exchange of information about products and solutions to problems that we all kind of face in our lives. So Madison has a pretty tight knit dog community. So I can absolutely see that happening where people are having positive experiences and sharing that with each other.
And they trust you more, like we've talked about, because you're a fellow pet owner. So they're taking your word for it that you've had a good experience, and then bang, there they are, into working with Dogma after that.
Hmm. Absolutely.
I love this.
I'm so happy that you're on the podcast, Lindsey. I was really excited to like hear more about the origin of the business because we never talked all those details out.
Yeah.
And when I saw you were interviewed in Forbes, I was like, wow,
Let's
I knew she.
go.
Yeah, I've seen her. We had back-to-back interviews when Sookie got married, and then you were also interviewed on the news, and we were right after each other. So that was kind of fun when that happened. So I was like, she's experienced at interviews. This will be a breeze.
Yeah, I'm would like to think I'm still really low key. Like I run around looking like this every day and
Right.
covered in dog hair. So um but yeah,
No, but that's genuine.
yeah,
That's
Mhm.
who I am, right? This is totally who I am. It's really exciting when I do get a chance to like tell the story like, oh my God, it started out like this and
Mhm.
now it's like this. And it's almost like how did that even happen?
I
But
mean, when I think of you, I think of Jay-Z. I mean, it's just like
Mhm. Yeah.
the same kind of
Hand in
growth,
hand.
heading into being a billionaire.
Hmm. The
okay,
Rock Boys in the building tonight.
that
Oh, what a feeling I'm feeling life. You ain't even got to bring your purses out. Drinks is on the house.
Oh
Hey,
my God. Hey.
hey. Yeah, you
Now
know
you're
what
going off the rails.
the entrepreneur, the hustle too. You don't have to wear a suit and a tie when you go to work, but as long as you're getting the work in, you're getting the work in. You kind of let that lead for itself.
yeah.
I got a polo on right now. I'm
Yeah, you
sitting
got
more
the polo.
comfortable, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure how I'd feel every day putting on the shirt and the tie and the briefcase, doing the finance job. I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna hit the same.
Oh, I'm so thankful that you had me here today. I've got the dog look at
You're
Oh,
they're
going today.
they're ready to go outside again. They're ready to go play in the snow a little bit before the polar vortex hits. It's going to be like 45 below tomorrow, I think, with
I
the
was telling
wind
Alex about
chill.
that. It is
So
Yeah.
going to be literally Arctic conditions.
So is this your busy season? Because in Wisconsin, most people want to travel and get out of the cold, or do
Get
you
out of
find the summer is your busy season? Or is it a little bit of both?
I mean, we're busy 365 to be perfectly honest, but like crunch times are definitely like holiday travel, but there is so much work travel.
Hmm.
In and around Madison, especially like we have the Epic campus. They have like medical software,
Hmm.
um, world known. The campus is massive, and those folks travel constantly. We have hundreds of dogs that come from families that work for that company. So so the year round travel is definitely like the work travel is a constant, and then holiday travel comes in like big push pockets also. But yeah, there's never a dull moment. I
Good.
Never a dull moment.
Especially the clients that you have too, the pets in themselves, they're characters in themselves too.
Mhm.
So I found it adorable thinking about all of those all of the dogs in the van and how they're like, wait up for me, like, oh, open the door, the last dog gets in for the day and they're on their way to having an adventure. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right. So, Lindsay, any final piece of advice that you want to share out there? You started this business from scratch, Dogma. You were told that it's not a good idea, but look at you now. You stuck it out all the way through into servicing over 12,000 clients locally. That's amazing. Any final piece of advice you want to leave out there for anyone, in any stage of life, based on your experience that you've had in building Dogma?
I think what's been most beneficial to me is, and what I would tell other people to do, is to surround yourself with people who believe in you and believe in what you're doing.
That support system.
Absolutely. It's so important. And, my dad always, told me like, when you're going somewhere, just figure out who the smartest person in the room is and
Mm.
get to know them and pick their brain and listen to what they're saying and watch what they're doing. Because you'll learn a lot. You know what I mean? You'll learn a lot. There's always somebody that knows more than you. Figure out who that person is, learn from them. So, I feel like that is such a great way to approach life, is not thinking that you know everything already, being willing to grasp information from other people and learn how to do things a different way, perhaps. I think that's helped with the success of the business in really big ways. And then, like you were saying, just kind of making sure you believe in yourself.
Before anyone else does.
Absolutely. You just, like, especially in an entrepreneurial space, you can't, there's no room for quitting. There's no room for thinking that you aren't going to make it. You just go and you do. And just getting into that mindset, I think, has certainly benefited me, and hopefully will for other people kind of wanting to live their passion and take that journey too.
Absolutely. I think listeners will really be inspired. I think we're kind of through our interviews are finding out how people get into the pet space, and we're finding several have to take quite a big leap to, from one avenue of their life to another. And it does take a lot of grind and a lot of hard work. So you have to really believe in yourself to do it.
Well, I find too, especially within the pet space, there's so much room for opportunity out there.
Mm.
And I find it's very conducive and very inviting to startups out there. I know, especially myself too, within Zen Frenz, I didn't know anyone in college that had a pet business that they were working on. So there's a lot of opportunity out there to just get involved in some way, shape, or form. It's $1 billion industry that exists with products, with services like any other industry. You just got to conduct a little bit of market research to see what path you would want to go into, especially within the pet space. But have met so many amazing personalities within our space as well too, and characters out there, and we've all got something in common right away. Usually is that shared love that we have for pets, and the fact that we do have pets, as well too. There's that instant bond and connection. So it's amazing to hear about your journey, Lindsey, and the adventure that you've been on in scaling this business into what it is now, and how it's grown, and how you've taken your marketing background and applied it to building Dogma into what it is now. And you don't need that shitty corporate job. You're light years ahead of that.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, hey, let's finish here with a little bit of plugs. So let our Zen Frenz audience know, where they can find you on socials, or if they're in Wisconsin, what you can offer them. And then everyone on the Zen Frenz podcast, make sure to go give them a follow and check out the services Lindsey's offering for you guys.
They're like,
Dogma.com.
Oh, yeah.
Arf, arf,
You know how many businesses I call with the ruff, 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 ruff in the background? You got to work through that.
This is what happens when the UPS guy comes.
Yeah.
Of course.
MadisonDogma.com is the website, and Instagram is Madison_Dogma. You can find me on Facebook too under just Dogma. Give us a like. Visit us if you're in Madison.
Yeah. Amazing. All right. You heard it here, guys. First, MadisonDogma.com, Madison_Dogma. Go check them out on Instagram, the website as well, too. Lindsey is putting her heart and soul into the business that she's building, been running it hands-on for over 10 years now as well, too. So if you're in the Madison, Wisconsin area, look no further. You have your next boarding and hiking opportunity as well, too, to be able to check out. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode of the Zen Frenz Podcast. We look forward to seeing you on the next one. Take care.